giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Y'all know I'm saying that forever now, right? Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! What's happening, people? Coming up today, putting the pencils down. We're closing the books. We are finally here. Cowboys, Giants, final thoughts, and we're going to jump inside the star with our guy, Patrick No-C Walker, on the scientific method. We'll get his final thoughts. I'll give you my final thoughts. And before we get to all of that, though, in the roundup, we've got another injury report, the latest injury report, and a not so surprising name on said injury report, unfortunately, you know. And then we're going to wrap up the show with a mailbag segment. I got a handful of questions from the Bomb Squad. Speaking of which, what's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Speaking of which, so we got about 4 or 5, I can't remember, questions that we'll get to. And then we'll hit the phone, maybe. It's Friday. We got time, so I'll probably hit the phone lines a little bit later as well. 351-999-3787 is the call in line. Come on through in the probably C part of the show. In the A block of the show, well. We had football yesterday, Cowboys Nation. Chiefs, Lions. The Lions get the victory. They open up 21-20 in what was a very sloppy game, I think, from both sides. But it's week one. That's what's going on. This is exactly what I mean by, hey, man, week one is crazy. Now, I don't think this result is that crazy, especially given what the Chiefs ran out there. The next time somebody tells you that a quarterback should be able to carry a team without any help, this is what you tell them.
Accusations. These are not accusations. It's
False.
false accusations.
Those are accusations. That is not the case at all. You need help. They sent my man Pat. Look, Pat Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. Probably the best quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Throw the ball and do what he does. He even needs help. And you sent him out there with I don't know who and Kadarius Toney without his guy. And I get it. My man was injured. You know what I'm saying? I totally understand. Travis Kelce could not play on that knee. So you got one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest head coaches of all time, and he had some blunders in that game. And they came out and looked like absolute garbage. Not saying that he did. Patrick Mahomes did everything he could do. But as a team, the offense as a whole was not what they wanted it to be. And that's because you ran out there what you ran out there. It's week one. I also get that as well. But I just thought it was interesting. Just thought it was very, very interesting. So, look, this is why I say I believe we can go out there and bang with anybody, but in week one, it's weird. So you just got to make sure you go out there. You don't make those mistakes that can lose you the game. Think about this for a second. The Lions scored 14 points on offense and won the game. 14 points and won the game because of the mistakes, right? So we got to go out there and not do what they did. And I understand that Pat probably looked around and said, man, that looked familiar. That was happening over here in Dallas last year. I get that. I do. But he'll be fine. The Chiefs will be fine. The Lions will be a good team. 100% believe that. You saw them turn the page last year. I think it was the game they played the Cowboys, to be honest. Coming off that bye, they had one of the worst defenses, trending to be one of the worst defenses of all time. And then they played the Cowboys, and it was pretty tightly contested game. And then from that loss on, the Lions ended up being a very tough team to deal with for the rest of the season. And I believe this is going to be a good team. So interesting game, fun game, good opener in my opinion. I know it was sloppy. It's week 1, but for Thursday night games, it could have been way worse. And real quick before I move on, because we only got about top of the hour, we're getting Pat on here, so I'll fly through this roundup. The Jawan Taylor thing. First of all, I'm done arguing about the whole false start thing. I can give a damn anymore. I don't care. The full start thing, it is, to me, it doesn't look right. We've been explained to by the great Duke. He says it's cool. Half the nation says it's not. I don't even care about that because that's going to be subjective. I thought it was funny, though. They called the full start at the end on 4th and 20, but it is what it is. What was ticking me off was Jawan Taylor was lined up 2 yards in the backfield. And the referees didn't care. So I'm not saying that, Terrence Steele and Tyron Smith, which we'll get to in a second, should do the same thing. But I think it's setting a bad precedent. The official came on the broadcast and said, look, his head has to be in the middle of this, I believe, the center's waist. It has to be in that line. And my guy was a whole yard back. Didn't get a flag one single time. Okay. If you set this precedent, which is it's super illegal. This isn't even about the full start thing. It's the alignment. If you set this precedent, this is going to give an unfair advantage to these tackles against these defensive ends. And that's exactly what the referee said. And it didn't really matter for the most part because Hutchinson was whooping him, by the way. Hutchinson is pretty damn good. But it's still an advantage and a disadvantage to the defense. It's already many disadvantages to the defense. Please don't change the rules all of a sudden or turn a blind eye to something so egregious. Get that fixed now. I wrote this on Twitter. I wonder if the league is going to send out a notice and say, nah. I know they were blind to it in week 1 or the very first game, but we will not be blind to this for the remainder of the season. If you decide to line up illegally, we will throw the flag every single time. Because if they set this bad precedent, it'll change the entire facet of the offensive line, at least for the tackles. And I'm not here for it. So let's go ahead and get into this roundup real quick and talk to our guy, Patrick Nosey Walker.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
That's what Lamb said. Let me talk to you. Don't keep asking me about this contract situation. They, and I love listening to Lamb now, right? Like CD Lamb is just he's him. He knows he's him. He's coming to his own. I think you saw him try to grow last year as a young veteran. When I say young veteran, when you're in the league for about 2-3 years, you become a young veteran. He now is a veteran that is young, it feels like. It's reversed. He just is confident, right? He speaks with just a different way about himself. I don't know, something I noticed. But they asked CD Lamb about his contract, and he said, man, I'm out of that. Not focused on it. I've got a Super Bowl to win and touchdowns to catch, and that's it. And he should have that I'm big chillin' vibe. You know why? Because he know he getting paid. CD Lamb know he about to go out there and crush it, barring injury. He just continues to get better and better year over year. And now he's got a guy like Brandon Cooks on the opposite side that, hey, look, one way or another, you're going to either focus on me or you're going to focus on him. And whenever you decide to not focus on me, I'm ready. I'm open, 7-11. But he's big chilling because he's guaranteed $17 million next year, more money than he's ever made in his life, right? And that's $17 million that's going to be on the cap if they don't get a contract, which he knows he's going to get a contract. And I get that Justin Jefferson right now is up next. CeeDee Lamb knows that. He's in no rush. Go ahead, Justin Jefferson, get your money. That's what the Cowboys allow, other teams to set the market, and then they come behind it and usually have to pay for that. If I was Dallas, I'd try to get this thing done so you ain't got to worry about it. They're in no rush, though, because they have him under contract next year. They like to use that fifth year. They like to use that franchise tag. That's the game that they play. But just know that it's going to cost you more money the longer you wait for CeeDee Lamb. And he knows that. He knows that. He's not using this as a distraction. But they asked CeeDee Lamb about the chemistry that the team is having right now in regards to the offense and the pass catchers. And he said, I feel like everybody's more comfortable. We're playing together, and the communication is outstanding. And speaking of himself individually, he said, I'm playing a lot faster. There's a lot less thinking. Just staying neutral and going out there to prove myself. So I expect a big year from CeeDee Lamb. I expect a big year, honestly, from the passing game because these guys are in tune. And we have, in my opinion, a scheme that is a championship-proven scheme. Does that guarantee a championship? No. But this scheme has been proven time and time again that it can get the best out of really everybody, we're being completely honest. And it's being used in today's game at a higher level. So I feel confident in that. Now, Tyron Smith was added to the injury report. Not really a surprise, but obviously we got to talk about it. So apparently got his ankle rolled up yesterday at practice, and he was limited. And according to Michael Gelkin, the issue is considered minor. Two people familiar with the situation. Some neutral tension about O-line, but neither he nor left guard Tyler Smith, hamstring, is dealing with a major injury. He said Tyler rehabbed on the side yesterday, and we'll talk more about this and the other guys here in a second with Pat. McCarthy did mention that Tyler Smith's status will be determined on Saturday's practice. Not just if he practices, but how he practices before they fly out to New York. So kind of Saturday's watch is on right now, right? The Saturday watch is on. Yesterday, I think it was, I said, I don't believe Tyler would play. He was on the cords yesterday. We'll see. We'll see what happens today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tyron, it's minor, but it's an annoyance, right? This is, hey, this doesn't surprise me. I don't know if it was an accident, but it's like he's a magnet to accidents. It doesn't matter if it's an accident. It's always something, and it's always going to be something with him. You just got to cross your fingers and hope you're good to go. Machota put out a worst case scenario lineup yesterday that featured Chuma Edoga at left tackle and TJ Bass at left guard. If I had to guess, and maybe I'll ask Pat this here in a second, if I had to guess, if there was a doomsday situation, I'd imagine Awesome. I mean, what I would want, I should say, actually. Awesome left tackle and Bass at left guard, but they do have Chuma as a swing, and I think they go Chuma at left tackle and Awesome at left guard. Either way, I don't want to see any of that. I need one of these guys to be ready. But not good heading into week one that we're dealing with offensive line issues already. For the rest of the guys, from an injury standpoint, for the rest of the guys, Sam Williams, he was elevated to limited. So there's some good news there. He did practice in a limited fashion. So now you have an extra pass rusher that could potentially play, which I was a bit surprised to see that due to that it being a turf toe situation that happened last week. But that is the good news. And then Donovan Wilson also did not practice, but not injury related. He has been drinking the same water that everybody else has been drinking, I guess, including me. He had some good news with his family in addition to it, apparently. So that is the update on the injury report, but that is just my update on the injury report. I'm not boots on the ground. Let's get boots on the ground update on the injury report from our guy, Patrick No C Walker, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from DallasCowboys.com on today's Scientific Method. What's good, Pat?
Hey, what's good, my brother?
Hey, man, I'm just so fired up after watching yesterday's game that, week one is finally here, bro. It's finally here. But I thought it was funny that Kadarius Toney pretty much cost him that game. But that's neither here nor there. What's up with you?
Oh, no. It's both here and there. Let me talk to you. Because last I checked, and let's just be clear, Patrick Mahomes is in his own stratosphere as far as quarterback in the NFL. There's no one on his planet. But it is also true that receivers have to catch the ball. So it really doesn't matter how elite the quarterback is if the receivers are not catching the ball, as we saw in Kansas City last night. And then, of course, people were like, well, Kelsey wasn't there. That's fair. Kelsey was not there. Mahomes' top weapon was not there. But then it's also fair to ask the question, are the receivers not being paid? Were those receivers not chosen to be in those positions by Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, which means the Chiefs believed that those receivers could get the job done, and they did not. But then you harken back, for example, the pick six that was a great pass by Mahomes, hit the receiver in the hand, tip drill, interception, pick six. Reminded everyone of Noah Brown. Everyone got re-triggered. Jacksonville Jaguars, overtime. But then why is there any difference between that Jacksonville Jaguars game last year when Dak got blamed for the loss? Oh, he threw the game-sealing interception. Well, there's no difference. At the end of the day, the quarterback can be Patrick Mahomes or it could be Moses in some special sandals. It doesn't matter. If the receivers aren't catching the ball, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter who's throwing it. So I say all of that to say Cowboys have now upgraded their receiving core massively over what it looked like last year. Brandon Cooks obviously in the mix now. Michael Gallup looks like he's ready for a bounce back. CeeDee Lamb, what else is there to say about CeeDee Lamb? That guy is absolutely ready. He is him. So going forward, we're looking good in the aspect of the Cowboys offense. And now they're going to, get their first test up against a defensive line in New York that, as it goes in the NFC East, the defensive fronts are going to be monstrous.
Yeah.
No, so is it the same? Is it the equivalent of the Commanders or the Eagles? No, but it's still quite stout when you start talking about Dexter Lawrence, Azeez Ojulari, Leonard Williams, and those guys.
Yeah, we're going into week one a lot healthier from the receiver standpoint than we were last year. You can basically say that Pat was rolling out Dennis Houston, James Washington, Jalen Tober, South Alabama, not sure what's going on. That's basically kind of what he had in week one. And last year, that's what Dak and this offense had, but not the case this year, man. So the receiver core is healthy, and that's great going into week one. However, the offensive line is the question, and I want to kind of get a boots on the ground injury update on this list, if you don't mind, Pat. What's kind of your take on what's going on with Tyler Smith and Tyron Smith heading into week one?
Well, first of all, that was a magnificent segue. So my guy is fantastic at what he does, ladies and gentlemen. So when you're looking at the offensive line for the Cowboys, obviously you see Tyron Smith appear on the injury report yesterday, and panic starts to ensue. And I get it. There's some PTSD, and I guess the T at this point stands for Tyron, right? But I was told that, well, first of all, officially he was listed as limited in yesterday's practice with an ankle issue. I was told that he rolled his ankle at some point in practice and exited, but I was also told that he was not helped off the field by trainers. He did not leave the field with a trainer. It was just Tyron Smith. He rolled his ankle, and then, he looked at the coaches and said, hey, I think, I just rolled my ankle. Let me go and put some ice on this, and that was kind of the extent of it. So as it stands, it is deemed a minor injury. It's not something, barring some wild change between now and Sunday evening, there is no concern that Tyron Smith is going to miss this game against the Giants. No concern that the injury is major. And the same goes for Tyler Smith. There's no concern that his injury, his hamstring strain, is major at all. It's being described to me as minor. Mike McCarthy said yesterday that Tyler told him that he, quote-unquote, feels great. But the Cowboys did choose to hold him out on Thursday, which I'm completely fine with, because I'm on record as saying earlier this week I would not let Tyler Smith practice this week after that hamstring strain. I would just give him the walkthrough on Saturday and then let him play on Sunday. Mike McCarthy yesterday basically intimated that is, in fact, the plan, so a little affirmation there for me. Basically said that as long as Tyler Smith participates in the walkthrough on Saturday, he'll likely play on Sunday, barring a setback in pregame warm-up. So left side of the offensive line, there are concerns there, but not nearly the level of concern that everyone in the Twitter sphere is subscribing to.
I'm not going to lie, Pat. It was definitely – I'm not hitting the panic button, but I'm looking at it, right? Yeah. Like, I'm looking at it because
that's fair.
Yeah, whenever you hear Tyron Smith is on the injury report and then a hamstring for your young stud at left guard, I'm looking at that panic button, but I'm not panicking quite yet. And hearing that, not just from you, but from McCarthy, that these things are minor and it looks like they're trending to play, makes me feel a little bit better about Sunday.
Yeah, they're both absolutely trending to play, and like I said, the only thing that will prevent either from playing, I would at this point, even with the rolled ankle on Tyron Smith, I would be absolutely stunned if he was not on that field. Tyler Smith, I'd be shocked but not floored because, like I said, he hasn't practiced this week. He has to go through Saturday walkthrough. We're not there yet. And then if Saturday walkthrough goes well, he has another check to go through, which will be pregame workout. And then they'll check on him after pregame workout. How's that hamstring feel? Is it sore? Is it tight? And then they'll make the determination there. So, yes, there's a great chance that Tyler Smith plays, but there's also a small chance that he doesn't. So that's the reality. That's why I say it's fair to have some concern there. Tyron Smith, I'm much less concerned with. I'm just being told it's not that big a deal.
Okay.
That's the actual quote I was told. So hopefully that holds steady. But my concern would be if Tyler isn't able to play, here's the OL depth issue. I mean, like, where are we with this? Because it sounds as if, and my belief and expectation is that they would run Chuma Edoga out there first at left guard if Tyler Smith can't go. That's concerning for me because Edoga did not have a great camp, and that was before he hyperextended his knee and missed the back end of camp. And now here he is being tossed in, but he's the veteran, so they're going to give the veteran the first crack. And that's not to say he has the body, he has the strength to kind of play better at left guard than he would as a swing tackle. But contextually speaking, I don't know that he would provide enough against that defensive line for the Giants. And yeah, you have Hoffman and you have Bass, and Bass is an absolute gamer, but those two guys are very young, and Bass particularly, he's very green. So, I mean, you could throw him in the fire, which I would be fine with, because what's the difference between he and Edoga? I think skill set-wise, he's better than Edoga, but football IQ-wise, this is a rookie coming into the league.
Against Wink.
Versus Edoga. Yeah, exactly. Against Wink Martindale versus Edoga, at least having the veteran savvy to know, what tendencies are. So however you slice it, though, let's just pray Tyler Smith is on the field. Yeah,
quickly on the other side of the ball, though, Sam Williams, Donovan Wilson. We got some good news on Sam with the limited upgrade, so that kind of got me excited a bit here because I want all hands on deck against the Giants. But Donovan Wilson, he didn't participate, but obviously it was for family reasons. But are you being told anything about his health reasons in regards to Week 1?
I think Donovan Wilson, a key day for Dono would have been on yesterday. But, of course, he missed for that fantastic reason, the latest Cowboy to welcome a newborn into the family, the third since July. I guess something is in the water. Hey, drink up, I suppose. But there's no practice today. There's the walkthrough tomorrow, so let's just put him on the same plan as Tyler Smith with the understanding that Donovan has been rehabbing his since the first week in training camp. He's long been out of the boot. So the expectation is that he has a fantastic chance of taking the field as long as there's no setbacks between now and then. He had a great workout on last Friday, said Mike McCarthy. So he's trending toward playing. Hopefully that remains the case. Sam Williams did not participate on Wednesday, but as you noted, he was upgraded to limited on yesterday, so he did do some work. Even though McCarthy didn't anticipate that he would, said that he viewed the rehab group he was initially, but then he got out there and did a little bit of work with that turf toe. Very promising sign because I was pessimistic about Sam Williams being able to take the field. Yeah, so he's at the moment, he's thankfully proving us both wrong with that pessimism, and hopefully he takes the field on Sunday because, like you said, we want all hands on deck going after Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, and trying to shorten those passing windows for guys like Jalen Hyatt and Darren Waller.
Let's stay on that side of the ball, man, because and by the way, we got Patrick Nosey Walker, DallasCowboys.com, ladies and gentlemen, dropping his science. Your latest science lab piece to me was Isaac Newton level good, man. I mean, this was fantastic.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, bro.
And if this is the first one that we're going to get, I guess 17, hopefully 20 or 21 of these. If we're going to get 20 or 21 of these, I can't wait. I can't wait. But there was a part in that science lab piece that kind of leads me into our next, phase here, which is what to watch for Sunday night. There was a number. There were two numbers. You talked about 62 and 27. Can you elaborate to the viewers a bit here on the significance of those numbers and what they mean for Week 1?
Absolutely. If you look at the trends and you follow Daniel Jones's career, and let's go forward because I don't want use the full macro because Brian Daboll was not there for the full macro. So more accurately, let's shrink it to 2022 when Brian Daboll took over. So in the Brian Daboll era, Daniel Jones does not win games on his own, and that number 62 proves it because he's lost every game except one last year. So he was 1-5, I believe, 1-5 or 1-6, when his completion percentage is at 62% or less. Now, here's where that correlates. It correlates with Saquon Barkley because in the games that Saquon Barkley, in those wins for the New York Giants, and all of those wins, you tally up all of those wins, Saquon Barkley averaged just under 105 rushing yards per game. In those wins, with Saquon Barkley averaging over almost 105 rushing yards per game, you look at Daniel Jones, and his completion percentage was higher than 62%, often in the low 70s or upper 60s. Mm-hmm. But when Saquon Barkley in those losses, when he's shut down and he's averaging only 35, 40 yards a game on the ground, that game gets pushed onto the arm of Daniel Jones. But in those games, his completion percentage drops almost 10 points. And when it drops to that 62 mark, it's almost always a loss. It was a loss every single time except for one last year. And when the Cowboys played and defeated the Giants in both of those games, Daniel Jones was in the upper 50s and the lower 60s in both of those games, respectively, and the Cowboys walked away with the win. And that's the 62 mark. Now, 27 is a lot less complex. It's basically points per game. And those losses, for every one of those losses for the Giants, including the playoff loss as well, they're averaging 27 points allowed per game. And that's a marker. That's a hard line because when they allow fewer than 27 points, they won almost every one of those games. But once they hit that 27-point marker and higher, they lost every single one of those games. So 62 and 27, those are some magic numbers that just kind of stood out to me when I was doing my research and homework on the Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll era last year. And, of course, yes, they got Jalen Hyatt, and they got Darren Waller. But the reason I'm not so concerned with those guys is one is a rookie, and he's going to have to go against one of the best secondaries, arguably the best cornerback group in the league. And Darren Waller has to go up against Jaron Kearse and the best safety, arguably the best safety rotation in the league. So I think those two guys can be negated. So formula goes as follows, Still. I know I'm running a little long here. We're talking football.
We got time, man. We got a little bit more time than normal.
Here we go.
So I'm good, man. Drop
here we
that
go.
science.
Birdman hand rub.
Come on, baby.
Birdman hand rub.
That 27.
So what you want to do is
go ahead.
No, I was going to say what you want to do is you shut down Saquon Barkley, which it's shown that it can be done, and then you force the game on to Daniel Jones. Now that's the formula that Dan Quinn has executed in the 3 times he's faced Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is 0-3 against Dan Quinn. And once you force the game onto Daniel Jones, it's just a matter of pressing his receivers, disrupting their routes, and making sure that his completion percentage is not above 62%. If you can do that, your chances of winning go up exponentially. Now, even better, or I should say better still, if the Cowboys offense, we talked about the receiving core, the new look receiving core with, Dak Prescott, Texas Coast offense, Tony Pollard, it's his show. Deuce Vaughn, mix him in. Let's get funky. You do that. If you can score 27 points, then it goes up exponentially more, which makes it nearly impossible for the Giants, who typically don't have the offense to come back, and they also don't have the quarterback who is capable of leading the team from a big deficit. 62 and 27. You give me one or both of those numbers, I give you a 1-0 Cowboy start to this.
Yeah, let's stay there real quick on the 27, because you made some fantastic points on the break about these rookies that the Giants are going to be rolling out there. I give all respect to Wink, actually one of my favorite DCs, because I just like madmen, and he's a madman. He's just nuts, man. But he puts so much stress on his secondary. It's very similar to Vic Fangio, but Vic Fangio requires the secondary to be a bit more heady, where I think Wink requires them to just be a super athletic. But at the end of the day, no matter how athletic you are, if you're a rookie, as you said, from Old Dominion in Maryland, and you're about to roll up against an 8-year vet in Dak, and you're about to roll up against Brandon Cooks, who's an extremely underrated receiver, and CeeDee Lamb, who's trying to get the bag, you got a tall task, man. And I know for me, that is one of the things I'm watching for. But and you mentioned this on the break. Can you go into detail a little bit more on this receivers versus these rookies?
Yeah, I mean, take these rookies out back and just, beat them like a dirty rug if you can. And as I said on the break, this isn't to say, Hawkins and Banks are not talented or don't have skill set that can hold up in the NFL. I believe they both do, but this is going to be their NFL debut. This is a sixth-round pick and a first-round pick, respectively. Like you said, Old Dominion, Maryland, no disrespect to those schools, but they're not Power 5 schools. And I harken back to the struggles Jalen Tolbert had on the receiving end of the ball last year. This is two rookies who are coming in from mid-sized to smaller schools, and are the lights too bright or going to be too bright for them? Is the stage going to be too big? I mean, they're walking into Sunday night football, and when they line up, they're going to be looking into the eyes of CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup. I mean, and then we're not even mentioning the tight end core just yet as far as, like, what Jake Ferguson is showing that as far as he's ready to step in and Schoolmaker will get there, Peyton Hendershot. But I want you to look at Hawkins. If you're Mike McCarthy, if you're Dak Prescott, I want you to do to those two rookies what Aaron Rodgers did to Kelvin Joseph last year. I want you to do those two rookies what Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence did to Kelvin Joseph and LaShawn Wright last year. This is what I want you to do. Mm-hmm. Attack them early, attack them often, attack them the entirety of the game, because you have to figure out how good can they be or not be, and hopefully you get a big play on one or both of them early, and then you hope to see them start to shrink mentally, and then that one play begets another big play, I really just want you to turn the screws. And I believe that those guys, they'll make a PBU here and there, but you're not going to convince me, objectively speaking, you're not going to convince me that Hawkins and Banks are going to line up against CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks and an 8-year veteran in Dak Prescott, who's not too many seasons removed from almost a 5,000-yard season with almost 40 touchdowns. You're not going to convince me that they're ready for that showdown, that matchup with the brightest of lights on Sunday Night Football. So if they can, prove it. I don't think they can, though. I think they'll be fine. They'll find their midseason form at some point, but I don't think they find it in week one, and I think that you really got to exploit that. That's just a glaring matchup for me. So this is one of those games where it's like, don't use the run to set up the pass. Use the pass to set up the run. Eat those young cornerbacks. Eat them. And that's going to force a longer day for the safeties of the Giants. I mean, just torture them. That will also help neutralize the defensive line that we're talking about. The blueprint is right there.
Using the pass to set up the run is a Mike McCarthy staple in regards to the West Coast offense. We got Patrick Nosey Walker, DallasCowboys.com here, y'all. Make sure y'all drop in here. We're going to do a hashtag Ask Pat segment today, so go ahead and drop your hashtag Ask Pat questions, and we'll get to them at the end of the segment. But I don't know how much you can gather from this, Pat, so I'm just going to throw it out here anyway. You mentioned Mike McCarthy, or I mentioned Mike McCarthy. You mentioned using the pass to set up the run. Does there seem to be a different energy from Big Mike, now that he's dialing it up and has total control of this offense than from years past?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's walking with quite the level of confidence and swagger, and honestly, he's having fun. And that's very promising because the keys are back in his hand and both hands are on the wheel offensively. And he's, from minute one, as far as the parting of ways with Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy has just been moving a little bit differently this offseason. And then what I'd really love to see is the level of inclusion that Dak Prescott has in coordinating the offense. Obviously, I know some people felt like it was kind of, before the game against the Raiders, they felt like, it was kind of gimmicky and, with Dak Prescott calling plays. But no, and I said this going into that game, I said this is for a reason. They want Dak Prescott to be so comfortable with the playbook that he could call the plays himself. And then when you combine a quarterback that has that level of football IQ, that ability to read defenses with a Super Bowl winning head coach and play caller, and then mix in some of the tweaks they're making as far as revamping the analytics team with guys like John Parks and some of these other hires, this feels different. Like, I don't know how to describe it other than to say this feels very different. The vibration in the air going into this season feels quite different than it has, dare I say, since the midnight. Okay, I'm not going to finish that statement, but it just feels different.
No, I don't blame you, man.
That all comes to fruition. Hopefully that all comes to fruition. I mean, they got the weapons, they got the experience, as far as play callers and the quarterback are concerned. As long as their health holds up, and I'm not as much worried about rust either. I know some people are. They're like, well, you got a new offense and starters haven't played in preseason. Should we expect rust? No, number one, it's not a new offense because much of the Kellen Moore playbook is what they're running. They made some tweaks, but the language is still the same. A lot of the play sections are still the same. But look at the defense that the Cowboys went up against in the preseason practices and the training camp practices. I mean, if we're going to sit here and say this is a top 3, possibly a top 2 with the potential to be a top 1 defense in the league, show me one of those preseason games wherein they would have gone up against a defense that matched that or was even close, and they would not have. That's the answer, which means why risk them the injury. So going up against this Giants defense, yeah, it's a dominant front, nothing that the Cowboys offense hasn't seen every single day in practice this summer, but the secondary is not even remotely equivalent. You know, one is on Mercury and one is on Pluto, and I still shout out to Pluto. You're still a planet to me, champ. But two completely different things. So the Cowboys offense should be able to exploit that secondary in a major way.
All right, we got a number of hashtag Ask Packs coming through here, so let me get to a few. Sully asked, will Pollard have the same effect as he did last year, being a change of pace back, since he doesn't have that Zeke type of guy there anymore? Will he have the same effect?
It won't. It'll be an impact, but it won't be the same effect. That's what I'm trying to get out. It'll be an impact, but it won't be the same effect. And what I mean by that is, he's not the change of pace back anymore. Deuce Vaughn is the change of pace back now. Mm-hmm. Rico Dowdle, although he has a similar building skill set to Tony Pollard, I'd say Rico Pollard is more of the spell back for Tony Pollard. When Tony taps his helmet, he needs a rest. Here comes Rico. When it's time to change the pace, it's Deuce Vaughn. So Tony Pollard, as the lead back, is going to be asked to do more of the dirty work that Zeke was asked to do. He's going to be asked to run more through the A and B gap than he's done in his football career, but he's shown the ability to do that. If you go back and watch his film, he can do that. In pass pro, when he first came into the league, there was a lot to be desired when it came to pass protection. He's gotten markedly better at pass protection. So the dirty work that you saw Ezekiel Elliott tasked with doing, that's now what Tony Pollard is going to be tasked with doing. So that's going to be his impact now. He's no longer the change of pace back. Will he still get plays in space wherein he can take advantage of would-be tacklers and use his quickness to his advantage? Yes, that still will be schemed into his play set. However, not nearly as much as it was because they need a guy who's going to run between the tackles, and that guy now becomes Tony Pollard.
Another one from Don, the Orca Whale. He says, ask Pat, can you help give me the same confidence in Aubrey that this coaching staff has? Brandon Aubrey, the kicker.
Well, I can't give you that same level of confidence because I don't have it to give. I can't sell you what I'm not willing to buy myself, and that's just being fair and that's just being real. So what I will say is my confidence in Aubrey is much higher than it was prior to the release of Vizcaino, because when Vizcaino was in the building, those two guys, they as a community of kickers, they were bad.
Yeah.
Vizcaino gets released, Aubrey finds another gear. Now, I attribute that to the fact that he had more reps, so he got better, and that's just kind of how it goes. He misses the extra point against the Jags. We all cringe. It's PTSD. It's like, oh, here we go again. But then when he had opportunities thereafter, he took advantage of them. The 59-yard boot that he missed, he barely missed it, and it had the distance. What does he do? Later in that game, comes back out, makes a 59-yarder. Now, to be honest, I wish he didn't make that 59-yarder because I don't want the Cowboys to know he can do that. I want them to think he can only kick 45 and up. That way you have to scheme the offense to stretch the field. That's what I would like to see. But on a scale of 1 to 10, when Aubrey first came into camp and I saw a few of those kicks and then the blue and white practice, my confidence level was 1. And I'm not kidding. It was 1. It was We got to get a veteran in here, and we got to get it now. I can confidently say right now that my confidence level with him is at least a 7. I'll give him a 7, and I will say let's keep that 7 with an asterisk, because if things start to go awry at any point during the season, I will be one of the first ones to say, yep, let's get a Mason in here. What are we doing? Because this has the potential to be a special season. Let's not give Aubrey or anyone who hasn't earned it a longer leash, a longer rope than they deserve. So at the moment, he deserves some rope, good preseason, better camp after Tristan was released. So I'm at a 7 right now, which is a good jump from a 1. But the Cowboys sound like listen, the Cowboys are like at a 9.5. I'm not there.
Oh no.
And even my 7 is like, let's say 6 and a possible. Let's say
9.
6 and a possible.
Accusations. These are not accusations. This is false accusation.
Not a 9.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they're feeling fantastic. And, kudos to them. They want to believe in their guy. I am not mad at that. I'm simply saying I'm not there. When I get there, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully I get there so I can let you guys know. Right now, though, actually I'm more comfortable. Let's say a strong 6, light 7. So 6 and a possible.
All right, I want two more if I can quickly get 2 more. The first one should be fast.
Let's squeeze into one.
Hashtag Ask Pat, and I just lost it a bit, but it was basically, Schoonmaker or Hendershot going to be tight end 2 this season?
Whew. At the onset, well, first, let me qualify by saying this real quick. Don't get too hung up on TE2, on that title.
Gotcha.
Don't get too hung up on that. Because the way the Cowboys are going to run these tight ends and their 2 tight end sets and sometimes 3 tight end sets, the number of snaps between Schoonmaker and Hendershot isn't going to be cavernous. Like, it's not going to be a Grand Canyon between those 2 guys.
Yeah.
So let me qualify it that way. But I will say, from the outset, first couple of weeks or so, you'll probably see more Hendershot because this is his 2nd year. He's had 2 training camps. And the Cowboys know what they get from him. Schoonmaker is his first training camp. He's missed the majority of it with plantar fasciitis, which means they also have to ramp him up. So that's how I believe it starts. How does it end? If that's how you're asking me, it ends with Schoonmaker and Jake Ferguson being your tight end 1, tight end 2, and whatever variation you want to put it, with Hendershot being tight end 3. That's how it ends to me, because that's what you use the 2nd-round pick on Schoonmaker to do anyway, is to come in and be that guy to push for the tight end 1 role alongside Jake Ferguson. But for my money, it's the Jake Ferguson show until further notice. Behind him, Schoonmaker and Hendershot, they'll fight for reps.
And last one from our guy, Brother L, says, ask Pat, what's a Cowboys defensive player / Giants offensive player matchup you're looking forward to seeing on Sunday? Cowboys defensive player, Giants offensive player.
Defense, offense. Give me Damone Clark versus Saquon Barkley.
Hey.
Give me that with a side of fries. I think it's really going to be the onus is going to be LVE to set the tone against Saquon Barkley playing sideline to sideline. But Damone Clark, obviously, he's a starter alongside LVE, so the onus is going to be on him as well. And I will say, based on what I've seen in training camp this year with LVE, I know this is going to be your favorite thing still. I know. With LVE getting some reps off of the edge, I think that hints at more of the responsibility from sideline to sideline coverage going on Damone Clark. And I feel like I'm on record. Damone Clark, to me, is going to have a breakout season for the Cowboys. He looks every bit the part. He looks like LSU Damone. Mentally, he's there. I mean, I talk to him every other day, and the dude is just sharpening his teeth to get out there and start eating. So if Damone Clark can be what I know he can be, starting with a huge challenge in trying to keep Saquon Barkley from burning the edge, which then forces him to the inside so Hankins and Mozzie and Chauncey and Neville and those guys can eat, which then, of course, helps the defensive ends and one of the best run defenders in DeMarcus Lawrence as a defensive end. That helps those guys eat. But for me, it starts in the middle of the Cowboys defense with LVE, but in a bigger way, Damone Clark versus Saquon Barkley. I
love that one because I think in the last matchup in Thanksgiving, you saw Damone Clark kind of spread his wings a bit in that game. So definitely keep my eye on that.
And he's got the speed. You saw his first game when he was playing against the Chicago Bears, when he chased down Justin Fields from behind.
Lapped everybody.
Yeah. So if you're asking, exactly, and that was his NFL debut after having no training camp. Now this is a different Damone Clark, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, Damone Clark versus Saquon Barkley. I want 12 rounds of that. Yes, please.
There you have it, y'all. The scientific method with our guy Patrick No-C Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Appreciate you for joining us this week, brother. And, next week we'll get you back on, and hopefully it's a good scientific method coming off of a victory.
Hey, man, fingers crossed, and I believe it will be. Cowboys just need to go out there and handle business. They are, in fact, the better team on paper. They're the better team in reality. And while the Giants are no pushover, I don't believe that the Giants, especially this early in the season, are ready for what the Cowboys can bring. So I got Dallas taking this win.
All right, man. That's Patrick No C Walker. Appreciate you, big dog.
All right, talk to you soon.
Salute. Woo! Felt good getting back into a lengthier scientific method segment, man. We can really dive into all the goodness that Pat can bring us and all of the inside kind of nuggets that you get down there. You're not getting this every week everywhere, so make sure y'all keep rocking with us. It will usually be on Thursdays, but I might have to talk to the peoples up high because I do like doing this on a Friday because we can go a little longer. However, we do have some plans that we're going to possibly have Friday set up a little bit differently. So like I said, can't really unveil everything. But Wednesday, Okoye, Thursday, Pat, Friday, we're waiting to stamp that one. But the season's going to be a good one, I think, man. All right, let's hit the reset button. Let's come right out of that. We'll get to a couple callers before we jump into, I think I got about 4 questions. Got about 4 questions in the mailbag segment. So if you got to use the bathroom, go make some coffee, get a couple different documentations done at work, turn down the volume. I won't get you in trouble, man. Do all of that, reset, and come on back.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. We'll do it live.
What? If y'all only knew what the hell was going on with over there on Facebook. Ridiculous. All right. Let's just go right ahead and jump into these calls. We got a couple on the line right now. And then we'll jump into the mailbag. We got 903 been holding for a good bit, man. What's good, 903?
What's good, Scott? Good morning, man.
Good morning.
So I just have a couple questions. Well, just really one question. So about Tyron, would you play him Sunday night? Yeah, Tyron.
Yeah,
left tackle.
Yeah, after hearing Pat, after hearing McCarthy and Gelkin, if he's healthy, he's good to go. Then you roll him. It's Tyler that I'm more so worried about. Tyron looks like it's a minor situation, and at some point he probably gonna go down. So get what you can get out of the guy.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I'm gonna be on pins and needles watching him.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Every game, every game. And with here's the thing with Tyron. He'll walk off, right? He'll look good. I think it was Pat who said, "Hey man, didn't need any help or nothing like that." I watched this man tear the bone off of his leg was removed apparently on the field at practice last year. Got up, walked out, and I'm like, all right, I guess everything's good to go. Then the next day, breaking news: Tyron Smith doesn't have a hamstring anymore. And I'm like, how, Sway?
Oh man.
Like, how did he do that? So. Yeah, I'm still chilling. I'm still waiting, till Sunday to make sure everything good to go. But it sounds like he'll be fine for Sunday. But this will be an every week watch, bro. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm like, man, you can't blow towards this guy, man. It's like,
it's why I wanted to go get me. It's why I wanted to get me a real viable backup tackle, a guy who actually is looked at as a starter. And me personally, I would pay them money. Like I would pay a premium for a swing tackle because of the history of this team needing one.
Well, I seen Richards and the other guy. They look real strong.
Sure.
In preseason. They look real good. I didn't see no pressure really on Dak in preseason. I mean, not on Dak, but the guys who was quarterbacking.
Oh, you had to watch a little closer. It was some pressure. It was some. Okay, I'm about to say the left side. It was some
pressure. It was some pressure, but I didn't see too much.
Sure. I'm a big fan of Austin Richards and T.J. Bass. That don't mean I'm ready to throw them in the fire right now and try to win a Super Bowl with him at left tackle for 15 games. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to get a little bit more development there, and then if I have to, then yeah, I'll throw him out there. But if I didn't have to, I would have tried to go get me a swing tackle. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But TJ, he look all right. TJ look good.
They both look, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got something in both of these guys.
They all look good. They all look good to me. So that's why I'm really not worried too much about that side. But I'm worried about Tyron, because he I don't know. I think it's time to hang his cleats up.
It's always something, man. It's always something. But yeah, man. Hey, appreciate the call, big dog.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's keep it trucking here. We got, I don't know if this is toxic or all in yet, but we got toxic / all in Tom. Good morning, good sir.
Good morning, Sky. First off, I want to congratulate you on joining the Married Filed Jointly Club. You're going to love it.
Thank you, sir.
The best part about this, no, I'm kidding. First, congratulations. Just got to say one thing about all these injuries. I'm not worried about this game at all. I'm all in on this one. And my dad is a diehard Giants fan. In fact, he rolls his eyes every time I say.
Oh, yeah, you up there in Jersey, ain't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he's from Jersey. I'm from Pennsylvania. He moved there. I don't know why.
Okay.
That's where I get my toxicity from. He's a Jersey boy. And I always say to him, Micah Parsons is Lawrence Taylor without the crack, basically. And he always gets pissy at me, basically, because I keep talking crap on him. But the difference between this year and last year is we don't have an assortment of bastard Jerry children. And we have a man who now has his staff in place that is on the same page, that is going to go in there and knows how to use those players effectively. Not worried about this game at all, because I trust Mike McCarthy, and I trust that Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys have finally put Dak Prescott in the position to succeed. And people all the time, like you saw last night against Patrick Mahomes, there is a lot to be said of, yeah, you could have the most talented quarterback in the entire world.
Yep.
But if your coaching staff has no clue how to game plan and use their strengths to the most effective way to attack, not take what the defense gives you, attack your opposition, the sky's the limit. You don't buy a Ferrari to drive it off-road. And that's what we've been trying.
Or if your coach or if your front office doesn't provide, the adequate personnel out there. I think all three, we talk about this all the time, right? 3 levels of team building, or 3 levels of, I don't want to say team building, that you need, right? Front office, coaching, and players. You need all that to be in the same wavelength, right? And then when you talk about team building, you're talking about drafting and developing free agency and trades. I think the Chiefs might have got a bit arrogant in the Patrick Mahomes thing and said, you know what, we'll just roll out Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Noah Brown, and them boys, and we'll see what happens. Well, I think they saw in week 1, maybe that's not the best bet. Even if they get Kelsey back, I think they need to make a move at receiver.
And you also have to look at it in a sense that this is the most complete team I think this Cowboys team has had since 2007. And with all that together, I'm more worried about Tyron Smith because if they bank on him to, I don't know, what idiot in that office says, I think this year's different for Tyron Smith. But you know what? I can live with that. But everything else, I guess.
I can't. You know me. The whole, and this was all with all due respect to Tyron. I was ready to say, look, man, just roll with your guy. Put Tyler Smith that left tackle, draft you a left guard, and let's move. Let's move on. Because if you're counting on Tyron Smith to remain healthy majority of the season, history says it won't happen. I would love for it to happen, but it says it won't, and already we're dealing with it. So, but it's water under the bridge. We just gotta hope for the best.
Yeah, I agree. And a few other small points. One thing, can you please go to the Star and ask AI Jerry Jones if you can see holographic Jerry Jones why he hasn't hired a general manager? Just want to see if that's programmed into that.
You know what he's gonna say? I'm the general manager.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And second thing is to the chat. Do yourselves a favor. Cut the cord. Save yourself some money. Stop listening to the 3-letter networks. Save yourself some money. Get off that crack, because the narrative is never going to be good about the Cowboys. They could win by 100 points, and they would still find a way to discredit this team. It's like pleasing an ex-wife. It's never going to happen. And the last thing I will say is Sky is going to be on Pick 6 Sports tonight. I encourage everyone in the chat, Bomb Squad, the 3-6-ish Mafia, please show up, give the support to Professor O. It is a can't-miss show, and you are going to see Sky that late at night awake. Yeah, you got to be there.
I was struggling last night. I'm struggling.
And other than that, bring back Ryan Nall, and we're Super Bowl bound. Have a good day.
Salute. Hey, let me tell you something about that. See, when we play late at night, I get the adrenaline. I feel like I'm playing. It's the adrenaline that keeps me up. It keeps me going. Somebody else is playing that night, but I'm struggling, man. And I was fired up for football, but y'all know me with the morning show and whatnot. I got to get up super early. I need my sleep. Give a damn how old you think I am. I still need my sleep. It's only going to get worse once the baby gets here. It's only going to get worse. But yeah, Pick Six Sports, me and Authentic will be on. Are you in here, Professor O? Are we going to be on together? Or is it going to be like you're bringing on Authentic and then I come after? You're bringing on me and Authentic after? Or is this going to be kind of a back and forth thing with Cowboys handicap match against Authentic? Let me know how that's going to work. But yeah, Sunday night, Cowboys Giants, game day live. We won't be on location, but we still provide you guys pregame, halftime, postgame show. So we'll be on together. Okay, that'd be interesting. I'll hit you up afterwards and get some more details on that. What's next? Mailbag. Let's go ahead and hit this mailbag real quick. We got about 4 questions from you guys here on on YouTube, and not fairly difficult questions, but I wanted to feature them, so let's do it.
It's time!
It's time.
It is time for
Mail time.
the mail's here.
You've got mail.
All right. Went to YouTube yesterday to get some of your guys' questions and concerns, or whatever you want to call it, for this week. And we got some decent questions. The first one I think is an obvious one, but appreciate Don the Orc well here. He says, Sky, 100% ready to go J. Lou or Deron Bland, who starts in the slot. I think it is without a shadow of a doubt Deron, anything but Bland. That's your guy, man. And here's why, Don. First of all, I just think he's a better player at this point, and this is no disrespect to J. Lou. I think J. Lou was a fantastic depth guy for you, and he's been in the league for a good bit now. But Deron Bland is more physical. He's more athletic. Obviously, he's a playmaker. We've seen that. And just the obvious part right here, right? He's been here in regards to camp and practices and whatnot. J. Lou is just now getting back into the swing of things. I don't foresee Jordan Lewis being a guy that's going to get a whole lot of snaps unless there's injury. I think they want to work him back in. Think a couple years ago, Malik Hooker. Malik Hooker didn't play the first game, but the second game they were starting to ease him in off of his Achilles injury. So I got Deron Bland on this one. I actually want to save Ike's question for last. I want to save that one. I like it. Zotan. He says, who has a bigger impact against the Giants, Lamb and Cooks or Diggs and Gilmore? I'm going to go with Lamb and Cooks. By the way, if you guys don't know, y'all can play along as well. I'm going to go with Lamb and Cooks. With all due respect to the specialists that the Giants brought aboard in Hyatt and Paris Campbell and Darren Waller, like, all due respect, I don't think those guys are dudes. So therefore, it's not enough for me to think that they're going to affect Diggs and Gilmore, whether they were there or not. Put it that way. Whereas Lamb and Cooks are going up against rookies, right? Whether, we'll have time to get them to rock or not is another story, but I think they're going to go to work. Whereas I don't know that the other guys are ever going to go to work on Diggs or Gilmore. But I think Lamb and Cooks, or one maybe or the other, are going to go off in this game. Going to go off. And we saw that CeeDee Lamb torched them last year. And if we're being honest, you could argue they're going to be worse in week 1. Maybe they have a lot of confidence in these rookies, in the future and other weeks. But we're talking about week 1 and a kid from Old Dominion and Maryland are about to line up against those two cats. Okay. Good luck. Buena suerte, right? In Spanish. Good luck. Ricky says, how comfortable is Jerry and the coaching staff that we have enough at the running back position? I'm probably on an island here. Been talking about this all off season. I think this room complements each other. I do. Think about last year, specifically heading into the final game, going into the playoffs, where Tony Pollard was, without a shadow of a doubt, your best running back. It wasn't even close at that point. And then Zeke was kind of on his last leg. He was playing hobbled as he usually does over the last 3 seasons, and he just couldn't give you much of anything at that point in the season. And then you have Malik Davis, who I thought did a solid job when he filled in, but Malik Davis was phased out, in my opinion, because of politics. And he really was not, it didn't matter. He didn't matter at all. But you go into the beginning of the season with TP coming off a Pro Bowl year, looking like TP as your lead back. Do it all guy, in my opinion. Rico Dowdle, I told y'all this yesterday. He runs angry. He runs like this. This might look, and again, I'm not saying he's Marion Barber, but the backfield might not look like Jerome Bettis and Fast Willie Parker. Might not look like Tiki Barber, Rondé Dame. Might not look like your traditional thunder lightning combo, but it could look like Julius Jones and Marion Barber. They complemented each other greatly because their running styles were different. They weren't, Marion Barber wasn't a big guy, but he ran hard. Rico Dowdle runs angry. He runs pissed off. He runs with a chip on his shoulder. How long will it last? We don't know because he's an injury guy. But I think he complements Tony Pollard well. He might not be the thunder in the sense of how big he is, but he's thunder in how he runs, but he has some juice to him too. So I think he complements this room. And then you got Deuce. The beauty of having Deuce is that if TP comes off the field and Deuce goes on it, you're losing no electricity. Your lights stay on. Your bills have been paid. PPL ain't calling you. Right? Whereas if TP was removed from the field last year, you pretty much lost all the juice. Not the case here with Deuce. And if something were to happen to TP again and say we're in the playoffs, I think Deuce Vaughn can come in there and handle things fine. He can still do the catch the things out the backfield, run between the tackles because he is a running back. You can doubt him all you want about his size. He can tote the rock. So I'm on an island here probably, but I like this room. I think it complements each other. That's really what I'm about moving forward in this today's age in football. I don't need an Adrian Peterson. If one comes and you got him, great. But you can easily in today's game get by with a complimentary room, and I think you got a complimentary room here. And then the final question comes from Ike. I love this question, man. Will Marquise Bell be used more in a Dono role, or will he get more work as linebacker 3 to fill the projected Overshown role for week 1? The reason why I like this is because I don't feel good about Donovan Wilson playing. So if Donovan Wilson doesn't play, is he about to play 2 different roles? Remember, Overshown's gone. It looks like Marquise Bell is supposed to be doing some linebacker things. Will he play that Overshown role? But how can he play the Overshown role if he's playing the Donovan Wilson role? So I don't have the answer, Sway. I'd imagine, though, if there was a real life role, especially week 1 for Overshown, I'd have to guess Bell would fill that more than he'd fill the Dono role, in the sense they're a little bit deeper at safety. Right, so we can say, hey, we'll have J-Ron patrol down there, and we'll put Juan Ye back there with Malik Hooker or something like that. Because I don't think you're going to trust Harper to step into that role right now, because Harper is a downhill guy, right? Where I think Overshown could do a multitude of things, and the reason why I think they're going with a Marquise Bell to do the quote unquote Overshown role is because he can drop back and cover a little bit. He's more athletic to do those things. Where he's seasoned in goals. He has the athleticism, but you don't really want him in coverage, in my opinion. You want him moving forward. So I don't have the answers, but it'll be interesting to see how Dan Quinn deploys that Overshown / Dono role with both of them potentially being out week 1. Great questions. Hopefully I gave y'all solid answers. All right, let's jump back into the phone lines and talk to our OG, the original OG, B Bird. What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening, Scott?
Not much. Happy Friday,
hey,
man.
Hey, same to you, brother. I just had a couple of things. One of the things that I guess we all kind of see what happens when you, keep chipping away, going cheap, and being, like you said, arrogant at the wide receiver position, which is I thought they looked similar to what we did last year against the 49ers talent-wise out there. You got to do better. The Chiefs, I'm sorry, I should have said that. The Chiefs last night, they had Tyreek, and they got the draft picks for that, and then it was Juju Smith-Schuster, and then they got rid of him or let him walk, and then now they just keep downgrading that position. And I think they're just putting more and more, because one of the things that you said that I think is true, even if they get Kelsey back, I mean, they still have to address, the wide receiver room, which like Mike Evans might be a good fit for them. But I really want to talk about something Patrick Nosey talked about, which was the kicking game. One of the things I'll tell you this quick story, man. I'm on the Gulf Coast, Texas Gulf Coast, so we're susceptible to hurricanes.
Yeah.
So when I bought my house, they asked me about flood insurance, and I was like, I think I'm gonna pass. This like $500, and I did that for a few years, probably about 6 years, saving $500. Well, we had a hurricane down here, and it was flooding everything, man. And so I stayed up the whole night, man, because it rained the whole night. The water wasn't going down, so I said, well, let me go out and see how much this water's coming in. Open my garage door, and you can see the water coming in. Not flowing in, but you can see the level rising, and it was still raining. And so I'm looking at that. I'm looking at my house, and I'm thinking about, wait a minute. All I had to do was pay $500 to have flood insurance. And so what I'm trying to say is, man, I don't want the Cowboys going cheap on a kicker and it costing you everything. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so how much would a Gould or Ryan Suckup or whoever else out there, what's the difference between their asking price, and I don't know if you even know this, versus what we're paying the kicker that's in here? Because we're talking $2 or $3 million, man, and we don't know what a kicker's going to do until we really need him. That kicking is very psychological, man, and you know what I'm saying? I would love to have a person that's kicked in those pressure situations before we get into those pressure situations, somebody that we can depend on, versus, this might be a great young man and great prospect, but we have a team that's ready to win now, man. I hate to be in the NFC Championship game, down 2 points, and we need to kick a 47-yarder, and, something goes awry because this guy, has never been in that situation before. I want to see what the difference is. I don't want us to be going too cheap and trying to save money in an area that could really be the death of our season. So I'll just get off and I'll listen to you, man.
I appreciate you, B Bird. Yeah, I don't think it's pay. I think it's preference. They paid the kicker. They paid some good money to Greg Zuerlein a couple years ago. Good money to Greg Zuerlein. So if there was a kicker that was worthy of the pay for what they prefer, they'd pay it. I don't think there's one out there for them. And what I mean by that is they prefer a kicker with a booming leg. That's what John Fossil wants. That's the history of John Fossil, especially here with the Cowboys. Greg Zuerlein, Greg DeLeg, Legatron. You get Brett Maher, probably the strongest leg in the National Football League. And now we got Brandon Aubrey, who Pat Nosey Walker says has dynamite on his legs. And they didn't really use him a lot in camp in regards to kicking deep, but we obviously seen that he can easily boot the ball 59, 60 yards. It's a matter of can he make it. So I think they would happily pay a kicker that fit their preferences. I don't know that there was a kicker out there that does that would require that much money. Now, you're not getting that in Robbie Gould. You're not getting that in Mason Crosby. These guys don't have booming legs anymore. There's obviously the concerns of will they even want to do kickoffs and can they make 50-yarders, at will. And right now that is Mason Crosby really hasn't been that good. I don't get the fascination, and not saying you, B Bird, but there's a fascination with Mason Crosby. But Mason Crosby has been like the 70s, low 80% for quite some time now, and he's like 45. So I'm a no on Mason Crosby. Robbie Gould is more recent. He doesn't miss in the playoffs, right? And we play indoors. So if you get home field advantage, you get a home game. That's up for Robbie. I think Robbie's 50-yard attempt, if you need to do it, you feel a little bit better about it. But so that's my answer there. I don't think it's about pay. And the other part of this, right, is we talk about how there's not a lot of good offensive linemen in the league. I'd argue, man, how many good kickers are there really that you're like, I can count on this dude year in, year out? You got a handful of the Buckners and the I'm forgetting his name over there in Baltimore, but you got a handful of these guys, but you don't have a whole lot of these kickers anymore. So you don't have a bunch of talent out there, and they don't have a bunch of guys out there that they prefer. Tucker, I think is his name. Tucker, yeah, Justin Tucker. So pay who? Pay who that fits the mold of what they want to do. Anybody out there? 817. What's up with you? Uh-oh.
That me?
Yes, sir. You are live.
Hey, this is Daryl from Fort Worth, not Dallas. How's it going?
Why when I got you say, I think what happened was last time you called Daryl from Fort Worth, I couldn't change now. What's good, D?
It's all good. It's all good. Deion got me all excited for the football season. So, shoot, I warmed up with him, so I'm ready to get it. Congratulations. I understand are in order for you. So
thanks, sir.
That's good. You're welcome. So I don't know if you remember, and I was going to get on you and throw you in there with Vach, but I remember that you really not in there with Vach on this situation.
What's that?
And that is offensive line when we were drafting. Because you always been the person who didn't trust Tyron in the long haul.
Yeah.
And so I was the one that was like, man, I need an offensive lineman in the draft in the first, second round. And I don't care if it's Mozzie not there or Schoolmaker not there. I need a left side offensive lineman. And I feel like Vach clowned me back in the day, back some months ago.
Hey, I can't speak for my brother. I'd be surprised that he clowned you to take an offensive lineman in round one. That don't sound like Vach. Vach will quite literally draft an offensive lineman in round one every single year. So I don't know about that one, Daryl.
Yeah, well, you were there, but I mean, it's like when I say clown me, because I was like, he wanted Mozzie. He was happy with Mozzie. He was happy with Mozzie.
Wait,
and I'm
so
like, man.
So you're talking about post draft, heading into the draft. I mean, we were like he wasn't champion for Mozzie. Vach was 100% happy to take an offensive lineman, but after the draft, yeah, I mean, of course, we most of us were happy to take a Mozzie Smith because you needed an interior guy because you had a second round pick to take another offensive lineman, which they didn't do. So I wouldn't look at Mozzie as the issue. It's what you did in the second round. The third round.
I could go
the
with
fourth
that.
round.
I could go with that.
Yes, you passed up on 3 other rounds to take an offensive lineman. So,
yeah, and that really is my point. At least the first, second round, maybe a third round, but we luck out, and it's kind of like arrogance. I think somebody was saying, we luck out and get some undrafted free agents to make it and da-da-da-da. And so I think we get cocky and think we don't need to get that quality like we did when we built the line before in the first, second rounds. And so now here we are. Because to me, yeah, we got a hole. We know we've been having a hole in the middle, defensive middle, until we got Hank. And we know that he's too old to really hang there long enough, down in and down out. So I agree. We needed somebody else in the middle. I just thought we needed that left side offensive lineman even more, or certainly as much. What I don't think we really needed was the tight end so early. But I understand, we want to run the ball out of. So anyway,
I'm about to say, I'm about to say, what's your end game here? What's your end game on this one? Because I mean, look, we got a game in 3 days. We talking about something. We talking about May. So what's your What's your end game?
Hey, I'm sorry. It was still in my crawl, just like, I can't get over Coop. But anyway. So that's all I was. So
Okay.
I appreciate you and your point.
Basically, you could just call him to say, hey, man, we should have took an offensive lineman in May, in the first or second round, or third round, or fourth round. But I digress.
Well, at least in the first three. Yes, sir. That's all I was on.
Right. Gotcha, Derek.
And I'm ready to get the game, get it on, and then whatever else happens up after that, I'll call y'all. We talk about it then.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Derek.
Let's go Cowboys.
Yes,
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I would have loved to have an offensive lineman sooner than the fifth round. That could be plug and play guy. We talked about that so many times, man. But yeah, here we are, man. We're back into the Tyron Smith watch, which it never left for me. Never left for me. I hope it's cool though. Hope it's cool. Steve said DeJuan Jones or Cyrus Torrance. That's where me and Vach are on opposite sides here. He just thinks Osiris sucks. I say I would have been fine with taking him in the second round. Now, work ethic, I don't know what his work ethic is like and all the other stuff, but yeah, I'd have been cool with no Osiris Torrance. I'm just saying, man. I'd have been cool with that. Let's get Bishop Kane in the building. What's good?
What's good with you, Scott?
I'm chilling, man. I'm ready for this game. What's up?
Hey, man, I wanted to piggyback. First off, man, we calling from South Dallas, Texas, man. First off.
Shout out to South Dallas.
You did. Man, second off, man, I do kind of slight agree with bro that just called, though, because I ain't tripping on Mozzie. I love Mozzie.
Yeah.
That Luke Schoonmaker guy, bro. The reason his career got to be good.
That's where it needs to be at. We can't. Why are we talking about Mozzie? I don't get it. The second round is where we need to be focusing on not taking the offensive lineman if we get mad. Not Mozzie.
No, facts. Because every other pick, I was like, oh, okay, well, I ain't tripping. Even the Overshawn, I wasn't really tripping. But that Luke dude, I'm like, dude. First off, when we was doing tight end analysis. As a nation, as a Cowboy nation, you know what I'm saying? I'm following y'all real close.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I might be. But I don't even think we even talked about dudes. So when we drafted him, I was like, who?
So me and Foots did. We did a show where every year, what do I call it? It's basically on the clock series. Okay, I do an on the clock series where I break down, each group, and in the tight end group, we talked about Luke Schoonmaker. But here's the thing, bro. We talked about Luke Schoonmaker as a early day 3, late day 2 guy. So his ceiling for us was late third round, but we looked at him as a day 3 guy. And so he was talked about, but if you look at our reaction, we were stunned that he was taken in the second round. That was given all the players on the board.
It just don't make no sense. That certain picks gonna have us scratching our head for years to come, and that's just one of them picks where you just like, why take him? It's not even about him. It's nothing against Scooney. It's why take him there though.
Yeah.
That's like that's gonna always be a little head scratcher. But as far as this New York game, man, I'm ready.
Go.
I'm really ready.
Oh yeah,
I'm really
what
ready,
you got for
man.
the New York game?
One thing I will say that I can't sleep on, like as far as them having dudes, that one dude that they do got, that boy Waller a dog. Like when he gets started, he a dog. I ain't gonna say he gonna clown us because we got real defense over here.
We got dogs,
but I do respect the hell out of. I respect that boy Darren Waller, man. He's a real dog as far as pass blocking, run blocking, catching, running.
Whoa! Wait a minute, Darren Waller ain't none of them things.
Bro gonna run them routes. He's strong enough to block when he wants to. He's slight lazy. Slight lazy.
Look, you was on to something when you talk about like pass catching and running routes and all that stuff, but Darren Waller don't want nothing to do with no blocking, dog.
I think bro lazy, man. Bro big. You can't tell me it's not the strength because bro is huge. So I just really think bro one of them cute, lazy. I really wish I could have been a wide receiver.
He was. He was. That's what I was about to get at. So he is a wide receiver turned tight end when he came into the league with Baltimore. So, he's linear, right. He's long, he's thin for a tight end, but because they use him as a detached guy. Think of him as a and this is gonna sound crazy to say, but a poor man's Pitts, meaning he's a tight end in a wide receiver's body, and they're using him like a wide receiver.
Right. I
would love. Please, Darren Waller try to block Micah Parsons or D-Law.
Oh
no,
please. No. He can't block nobody like that. He might can block a corner. He might can help you chip a corner on the DB blitz or something maybe, but he ain't. Mike Parsons, that's crazy. Yeah. But it's kind of along the lines of like how Trey Diggs used to be a receiver. So certain shit that corners do naturally, he's still getting to doing it. Like one thing, like his tackling, his aggression. You know what I'm saying? His physicalness. He's still trying to get that physical look. But other than that, though, I'm ready to see these boys get up there here. We probably beat them about a good 17. I ain't gonna say we're gonna 21 them. a good 17 or something like that.
17 a blowout in the NFL, man. I love that. Shit.
Yeah. 16 in the clip and 1 in the chamber for them. Something like that.
16 in the possible. All right. Take.
Appreciate it though, man. Y'all enjoy y'all day, man. Cowboy Nation, man.
Shouts out to South Dallas. Bishop Kane in the building. Yeah, he was a former receiver. Dealt with things mentally. Yeah. I respect, and I think Toxic Tom brought this up. I respect Darren Waller's, human growth, by the way. It's very reminiscent to Brandon Marshall, who dealt with a lot of similarities. And obviously Brandon Marshall's doing a bit better now in his life. But yeah, I would walk him. Oh man, please don't send him out on a route and let him try to block DeMarcus Lawrence or anybody. Shit, it don't matter who our defensive end is, really. But from a receiver standpoint, he 100% is a guy you're going to watch for. And according to reports down there, him and Daniel Jones, I think you're going to spam. Daniel Jones is going to spam Waller. Early. Let me close this up. All right, let's keep it moving and talk to our guy, Marcus. What's good, man?
Hey, man, what's good, Sky? What's good? How you doing?
I'm good. It's Friday. We kind of in overtime here, so we just chilling. What's up with you?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm not gonna keep you, boss. I love Patrick, what he said, man, when he was on. Always a good talk. Always a good guest. I love what he said about going after those corners.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about that earlier. Hey, look, Wink is Wink. That defensive coordinator over there, Wink Martindale is Wink Martindale. He's on the blitz. One thing about the zone blitzes, I think a lot of people miss sometimes, is it's really not about how many people are coming. It's about who's coming. So at the most, if he's really going to be a zone blitz guy, yeah, he's really only going to sit about 5 guys. So because again, if he's going to get blitz happy, when I say blitz happy, he's sending 6 people or something like that. He's going to mess around and leave people singled up. Wink's crazy, but he's not stupid. He can't do that. If he do that, the game is over before halftime. I hope he do it. Trust me. I want to see him light them up. I want to see him light them up just to put a lot of things, just to put it on the table. It's not even about the Giants. This is about, hey, this is what's going to happen to you, any of you, if you come out here with this nonsense. That's all I want to see.
Yeah,
that's all. I
don't think he's going to change his stripes. Wink is going to be Wink. He's going to pressure you with his looks, and he's going to pull out on certain times. Some other times he's going to do cover zero stuff where he's sending the damn house. We talked about it with Pat. And the difference between him and Vic Fangio and two defensive coordinators I respect and I like a whole lot is that Vic is going to put pressure on his secondary from a mental standpoint, where I think Wink is going to put pressure on them physically in the sense of, we are going to single you up. Yeah. You're going to have to run with this guy. Don't worry about what's happening in the backfield. You just stay with this receiver because we're sending the house either on your side or we're sending a house in general. So I don't really see him switch, especially with rookies, right? Where these rookies apparently are doing well in camp and all that stuff, and they've earned their duties. But once you get out there and the bullets are flying, if you're not where you need to be, from a mental standpoint in zone, boy, you leave a gaping hole in the back end, and we're talking about just run the space, and Dak can easily throw. He'll destroy a zone if there's a ton of space. Where he struggled in 2021 was post-snap safety, moving here or there. I didn't notice in the film that I seen, and maybe it'll change, where that safety was doing anything significant post-snap besides being rogue, I think. And I think Koye pointed this out as well. The safety kind of was just in the middle of the field and he'll just drop down. And that's pretty much all he was doing when they were in single high. If they're in two high and they don't do anything special, that's an easy read for Dak Prescott. But I just don't know what more Wink can do in this game besides trust who he is and what he has out there and lean on his guys. You know, they have a good front, Marcus. They have a fantastic front, and they've got a guy in Isaiah Simmons who can do some wild card things. So I just don't see him changing his stripes, man. He's going to say, hey, do what y'all do out there. I got some good guys up front. Y'all make it happen, and you guys on the back end need to hold up.
Okay, he can place that bet. I got my money where I got my money. He can place that bet. I don't disagree with a thing you said. I don't disagree with a thing you said. Wink is going to be Wink. I think most defensive coordinators again would at least temper some of that, but he got to dance with what brought him, like you said. So
you said most. He ain't most, man. He ain't most. Wink is his own. Like I'm telling you, this guy is madness. It's why I love it a little bit from a football standpoint. He don't give a damn. There's a Rob Ryan, Rex Ryan aspect to him. He does not care about what you got going on over there. He believes in what he does, and for the most part, again, it was solid. It wasn't great. It was solid, given for what he had from a talent standpoint last year. But this is a different animal he's going to be going up against. This is not the same Cowboys offense as last year.
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm thinking he's thinking it's going to be the same look. I'm thinking he's thinking that. And again, that's why you beat their heads in, so people get put on notice. You try it if you like it. But hey, man, I can't wait either. And we got to get over. I know we all Cowboys fans and we get upset about things and we try to look at the double standards. We all know that's going to be the Cowboys. Nationally, we shouldn't care what anybody says about the Cowboys nationally. Their job is not to be objective or even to be accurate. Controversy and negativity is what sells. It always has. It never has to be right. It never has to be accurate. All it's got to be is controversial, and in the Cowboys case, controversial or negative will sell.
Yeah, that's so true.
So if you're looking for accuracy, that's why we need to prop and support guys like you, like Roger Law, Boss Cowboy, Landlord. Get on those guys. If those guys at least can tell you what's going on here, positive or negative, they can tell you what's going on here, and you got a better chance of trusting that and forming an opinion, positive or negative, about the Cowboys from somebody that's close than somebody that's got a big platform and is loud. So we all got to mature and get out of there. I don't care nothing about people looking for one thing. Nobody's talking about Patrick Mahomes and said that's beside the point. The point is it don't matter what the Cowboys are going to do. Somebody's going to say something crazy.
Yeah.
Particularly nationally. So leave it alone. That's what that is. So go ahead, Sky. Have a good Friday. Can't wait, man. Wait. Bring the house, baby, so we can clean you up. Bring it, baby. I can't wait to see it. Get it, baby. Try it. Try it if you like it, Wayne. Try it. How about them Cowboys?
Hey, send it so we can bring back you can have whatever you like. We need to bring that back. The other thing about that, the last part that he brought up there, at least the national media has to be held accountable for the things that they say publicly. Meaning they have to come, like me. If I say something, I got to be held accountable. I'm here. I'm never running. Win, lose, or draw, I'm here for it all. Doesn't matter. What annoys me is our own, and I think it was Law who said it perfectly. Not only am I week in, week out having to battle against the opposing team, but there's a third of our fan base we have to battle all the time, which is crazy to me, but it is what it is. But most of those keyboard warriors or foul weather fans, they don't ever have to be held accountable. The reason why it's so fun for them and easy for them to come out and say crazy, ridiculous things is because when those things don't go their way, they don't have to be present. They don't have to come. They're not here being held accountable. They scurry away. It's like roaches when the lights get turned on. It's scurrying away. Right? Damn. It wasn't right. This is my team, but I wanted to be right about this. So they scurry away. But the minute that thing does happen, right, then they're right back here like, aha. And that annoys me more than anything. Even more than the national man, like you said, Marcus, we know what they're doing. Negativity sells, Cowboys sell. And when it eventually doesn't go their way, we on their ass. Well, y'all are. I don't like to give them too much airtime via Twitter, via here, but y'all on their ass, rightfully so. Shouts out to you. But it's our own. That's the annoying part for me. That's the annoying part for me. I wish it was just as simple as bandwagon, Justin. That's my thing, right? Like, if it's just bandwagon, hey, I say come on aboard. Come on in. When things are lovely, I don't give a damn, man. Let's all ride this. Let's jump on. That's not what it is. You know? It's the opposite. When things are lovely and going well, it's a victory, or you know, and we're excited, we're happy, but we're also looking at things from both sides. They're nowhere to be found. When things aren't going well, there's a loss, there's trauma, there's adversity. They breed in it. You know, it feeds them. It's. I don't get it. I don't get it. Appreciate you, Mel. And Mel ain't talking about you. He says Sky will be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That ain't you ain't the one I'm talking about, Mel. No. You have your doubts about week one. You've given your. That's a whole different thing. You ain't the person I'm talking about, bro. Not at all. Not at all. Let's talk to our guy, Glenn. Always good to hear from you, G.
Hey, what's good, Scott? Thanks for taking the call. Doing a great job as usual. Really looking forward to today's show, getting this football weekend started. So I'll just I wanted to get your thoughts. I've got 1 point for the offense and then 1 point for the defense. I just want to get your thoughts on those two. So with the offense, I'm anxious to see Mark McCarthy in the driver's seat with the keys, taken out the Ferrari. I mean, he literally has a Ferrari. If we have all of our pieces, he's got all the toys in the world. My only concern, and it's really not limited to the Cowboys, it's really any offense, is week one. I do expect that there could be a little bit of rust.
Yes.
Not only because we've got some new pieces, but listen, McCarthy hasn't done this in quite a while, right? He's got a lot of things he has to look at. He's got to find out, hey, how's my offensive line protecting? How's my quarterback feeling? Is he settled down? How's the, Michael Gallup? Is he able to get off? So there are a lot of concerns that he has to watch. It wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys were a little lethargic on offense, at least as it pertains to this game. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I don't think you're far-fetched here at all, bro. And I even kind of cautioned people this week and said, look, there's going to be, like you call it rust. There's going to be ups and downs in this game. We just watched the greatest quarterback of our generation, it feels like, struggle, you know. And I'm not saying he struggled. He actually played pretty decently in a way, but that second half he threw for less than 50% of his passes, so there was some struggle there. But we saw that offense not get going. 20 points. They only scored, 2 touchdowns in that game? So why would I think that we might not have some week one struggles? It happens. I don't, though, Glenn, and I hope this doesn't happen. I don't expect it to be a game-long struggle. Maybe a quarter, maybe a half. They're trying to find their way. But I just think there just seems to be a different level of focus this year with this offense that they'll figure it out sooner rather than later, and we'll get moving. But I am not oblivious and blind to the fact that there may be some ups and downs early on as Mike McCarthy is trying to figure things out and his offense is trying to figure things out. I just think the ups will be more up than the downs. So where I'm going to be focused at, Glenn, is once we get to week 6, once we get to week 7, week 8, and teams now have adapted, how are you adapting? How are you now adapting? Right. Because we've seen this for years where we come out like gangbusters, not necessarily week 1, but just in general, the first 5-6 weeks of the season, and we're putting up 31 points per game and everything's looking gravy. And then teams adjust, and what are we saying by the year end? Man, this shit looking weird. You know, so I'm going to be looking at how does McCarthy adjust with this group once teams adjust to him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And listen, McCarthy is experienced enough to know that if the defense is typically ahead of the offense, right, especially early in the year, McCarthy is wise enough to know that he's not going to jeopardize a defense that's playing well by exposing them, putting them on the field for exorbitant periods of time. So he's going to make sure he calls the game with his team's best interest in mind. I just want to caution fans out there, give McCarthy a little bit of leeway. I agree. I don't necessarily believe it's going to be all game long, but I think maybe, at least for this week is concerned, maybe even the first half, they may look a little disjointed. Just don't hit the panic button. It's going to take a little bit of time with all the moving parts, and especially with all of his new responsibilities. The only other thing I want to touch on is the defense. And this is, I think, where you and I kind of disagree a little bit.
Danny? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The one area I think we disagree a little bit is with respect to single high safety philosophy. Look, I look at this defense as having really, as far as I can see, very few weaknesses.
Which
Which
defense are you talking about,
linebacker?
by the way? I'm sorry.
Cowboys.
Okay.
Cowboys. Yeah. I don't think I don't think that the defensive coordinator needs to do anything exotic. Why not just stick with a too high safety? Maybe you move Micah around, obviously, but I think we might be able to really do a lot of damage with the front seven without having to really do anything too crazy. I don't know. I don't know that there really is a whole lot of game planning that needs to be done with this defense.
A little bit confused here. You said you disagree about a single high. What exactly are you disagreeing with me about single? I don't think I mentioned that about the Cowboys defense, so I'm just trying to figure that out.
Well, sure. So my understanding is, let me just see. My philosophy is that I don't like single high safety at all. I really don't like it. You look at the times the Cowboys got burned last year. That single high safety gives away big plays when I see Malik Hooker running across the field. It's a bad look. And
I think you might have misunderstood me when I was talking about single high. We were talking about Wink Martindale's defense.
Sure.
Yeah, I never said an opinion on single high or too high for the Cowboys. I was saying Wink Martindale, I don't think he's going to change his stripes. I think he's going to, do what he does, and I don't see their single high safety doing anything crazy and disguising. He kind of plays all the way back in, DeSoto when they were here in AT&T. He was so far damn back. But for the Cowboys, I really don't have opinion one way or another on single high or too high. I think you got to mix it up. Like you can't stay in one thing all game. That's how you get beat by smart quarterbacks and coordinators. You got to switch these things up, and I think Dan Quinn does a fantastic job of doing that. He absolutely rattled one of the best pre-snap, post-snap observers in Tom Brady. So I feel very confident that he can do that to a Daniel Jones, by mixing it up.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Just weren't sure if we were on the same page on that issue, but other than that, I've got the Cowboys winning by 4. I think it'll be a tight game, and I, as an earlier caller said, I don't want this coming down to the kicker, but we'll leave that for another day if that problem comes up. But thanks for taking the call, and you're doing a great job as always.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, Glenn. Last time it came down to the kicker, 2021, Greg Zuerlein, right? Am I mistaken? The Dak Prescott injury game. Andy Dalton comes in, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came down to the kicker in that game. So that was the last time this matchup came down to the kicker. So I'm with you. I hope it doesn't come down to the kicker either. But if it does, they've got confidence in them.
Accusations.
Apparently. Let's see. Let's get into the chat real quick. I got you, Nacho. I'm going to get to you in a second. I just see the chat kind of fired up here. The Guru said, are more personnel moves coming after 2 weeks? No roster guarantee per O-line linebacker. Don't know. Not in that building, man. I'm still, my eyes are, Rashaan Evans is still available. Crazy. But I would love to go get him. That'd be perfect. O-line, I'm always looking to get better O-line. The problem is there's not a whole lot of good O-linemen out there left. You're just hoping to grab somebody and wish for the best with them, because if they were either healthy or that good, I think they would have been scooped up right now in a league that doesn't have a whole lot of O-linemen, which is why I was looking forward to maybe trading somebody. But, yeah, absolutely. Oh, Danny, what I was getting at with you, Danny, is earlier, man, you said you're sorry, but you don't believe that Tony Pollard's healthy. Like, what? How can you even say, because he hasn't gotten a hit in camp? Like, how can you be so absolute that Tony Pollard isn't healthy? Like, have you watched camp? Have you watched him run? Like, what makes you believe what you're watching this guy cut and run, and according to everyone that's down there talking about Tony Pollard's health, but you believe he's not healthy because he ain't get hit? What does him having to get hit have to do with anything in health? So, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about here. You know, y'all know how he get though. But what's good, Nacho?
My man, Will.
Yes, sir. What's up?
Oh man, how you doing? How you been? Good.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Man, we're excited. We're excited. Season's already here, Will. So what I'm thinking is I'm excited. I got my tickets to the 49er Cowboy game already. Man, that's one of the most expensive tickets the whole entire season. It's incredible.
I heard that the Niners tickets were so cheap, or cheap, the cheapest of cheap tickets for every other game except Dallas.
Let me tell you how expensive they are. Okay, my cousins rolled into the game into the last season at the playoff game. Dallas on the road at Santa Clara here. Okay, what they paid for that playoff ticket is less expensive than the regular season coming up. It's ridiculous. It's just outrageously ridiculous. And I'll give you an example. Right now, if you want some decent seats in the 100 section on the visitor side, even up to the 200, you're paying anywhere between $850 to up to $3,000. Out of this world. Ridiculous. They're pumping up this game to be, and it is what it is. I get it. It's a rivalry. It's the Niners and Cowboys, and living up here, really, I live about 45 minutes away from the stadium. It is what it is. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited about the season, like we talked about. If we can shore up between now and into after September, our injuries, with the offensive line and some of the players coming back, and safeties and everything, we're going to be just fine. This is the most confident I've felt about our football team overall, roster-wise, coaching-wise, philosophy-wise, yada yada. I mean, we're ready to go, Sky.
Yeah.
And you already know my bold prediction, and I'm sticking to it.
See you in Vegas, right? See you in Vegas.
Yeah, see you in Vegas. See you in Vegas, and what a theme and a mindset that we're not doing the remember with Garrett. No, we can't think about that. We got to think about the next day, this, that. All of a sudden, these players, these coaches are now, you know what I mean. Now they're talking. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm striving for.
But there's something to both sides, right? There's something to having that ultimate goal, but you taking the day-by-day steps to get there. So, again, I'm not a major Jason Garrett fan, but some of his Garrett-isms made sense, right? Like stack good days on top of good days and things like that. So, that absolutely makes sense. We have to focus on the task at hand in order to get to the goal that we want to accomplish.
Absolutely. And it's great to feel the energy in the room, the players and everybody. Okay, you know what? This is where we want to be, right?
That's real. Apparently, I think it was...
That's real.
Dan Quinn talked about, the energy in the defensive room is different. You see the energy on the field. You listen to, folks like 2i and Pat, and you just... Hey man, there's an aura, around this team that feels different than years past. So yeah,
it's exciting, and I'll leave you with this. As much scrutiny as from McCarthy being on the hot seat to Dak Prescott. Okay, this is the year, and if he doesn't do this, that, hey, listen. again, if we, and I'm with you on this, a lot of people off the start in the first month, yes, if you look at our schedule, can this be a 3-1, 4-0 team at the end of September? Absolutely, yes, if we want to be that type of team. But then again, I'm not going to be all bummed out if we go 2-2 heading into the San Francisco game, just because, let me tell you why, just because this is a journey. It's about the team that's going to adapt. It's going to get better in the middle of the season, get hot towards the end of the season, and who's going to be ready towards the playoffs. So I want to look at it that way, as much. But at the same time, I do understand that you want to get out to a good start. And I believe based on the first 4 games we have, there is no doubt if we want to be that team that we're saying we're going to be, absolutely got to go at least minimum 3-1.
1-0. That's all you're worried about is the next game. And I love that the players have that mentality.
Yes,
it's just 1-0. We're trying to go 1-0 every week. We ain't worried about quarterly results. 1-0, man. Appreciate you, Nacho.
Hey, my man, have a good one.
I know it's easy to look ahead in regards to record predictions and all that stuff at the quarter of the season, but 1-0. That's what we're trying to do each week. It is quite literally a week-to-week league. We're how we look or how another team looks right now could be completely different come week 4 or 5. We know that. Look what happened last year. Teams looking on that schedule. Oh man, we're about to play, Dak Prescott and James Washington or somebody like that. No, you play Cooper Rush and Noah Brown and them boys. So things can change between now and 3 weeks from now. So 1-0, that's what we need to focus on. Ty, you mentioned something earlier, and I missed things in here, but I'm trying to understand what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
You said this is the 5th offensive coordinator. Is that what you said? The 5th, which is not correct, but the 5th offensive coordinator for Dak. But
what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Before I touch on that, I just want to kind of get an understanding on what the hell you're talking about. Oh, y'all see y'all getting on. Y'all flaming Danny. As I wait for that response here, let me get to a couple super chats.
Super chat.
We got 10. Appreciate you. Dwayne Brown dropped one. He said, great show, Scott. I believe the team will step up this year. Offense, etc. We have a top 3 defense, but I like to see them take that next step to being the best in the league and score a touchdown off turnovers. So, do I want to bring this up? I do. Let's just do it. Pat actually said the same thing essentially for the defense. He was like in his article, go check that article out on .com, by the way. He wants to see this defense become the best in franchise history. It's a big ladder to climb there, right? Doomsday defenses and whatnot. But I'm with you a bit in maybe what is the next step for this team defensively? You said take turnovers to touchdowns and things like that. I think we got a response from him. So let me go up there in a second. Turnovers into touchdowns, and I was talking on Twitter. One radio host said some stuff, and we were talking about playoffs and defenses in playoffs, and a stat popped up that I found shocking when I did some research. For as great as we're creating turnovers, or as we've been the last couple of seasons, in the playoffs, I don't know why it doesn't necessarily follow us as much. I think it was Joey Ikes brought up the 2009 Saints, and he was talking about how they had an insane amount of turnovers that year, and I went and looked, and they had 8 turnovers created in the playoffs. 8. That's more than the Cowboys have had the entire 8 years that Dak has been here in the playoffs, like combined. We've never had more than 1 turnover in any playoff game, and we've went in multiple playoff games in a year with 0. So I talked about this a lot in the offseason too. There's going to be games. Where if you got to play 3 or 4 games in the playoffs, it's not going to be high scoring 34 points per game. You just lighten it up. It's going to be some ugly, nasty games, man. You might need your defense to win you this one and then say, all right, I got you this week. I need you to get me next week now. Right? And I always bring up the Joe Burrow Super Bowl run where Joe Burrow had 0 touchdowns, 1 interception against the Titans, and the Bengals defense created 3 turnovers in that game to win the game. I also brought up the 2006 Super Bowl run for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was terrible in the playoff. He was awful. And the ironic thing about that defense that year, The 06 Colts defense was trash. They got into the playoffs and went crazy. Peyton Manning had 3 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in the playoffs that year, but he won the Super Bowl, and everybody's like, hey, Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl. That's all that matters. And it is all that matters, but what I'm getting at is that is the next step for me. This defense is going to be great during the regular season. It's going to be great. But once we get to the postseason, I want it to be great then. Not good, not good enough. I want to see some greatness there as well. Also, on the flip side, offensively, I want to see greatness too. And we've seen greatness here and there offensively. Would love to see it consistently. I understand you're playing the best teams, though, and that may not happen. So what is the next step for the defense I want to see? Because I've seen this offense be the top scoring offense, go great. I want to see the defense be one of them ones. Because that's all they have left to do is be one of them ones. And to be one of them ones, you have to do it in the offs, right? Much like the quarterback, to be considered one of them ones, you got to do it in the offs. Same thing with the defense, if we're being real. So just kind of wanted to bring that up. All right, and I done lost T.Y.'s thing. Let me go ahead and scroll back up here. Oh, you said it was a typo. So you meant 2, not 5? You said we as a fan base keep settling for a mediocre team. We need to put Jerry on the hot seat. Okay, so you meant 2. All right. Well, then that changes things because I wasn't quite sure where he was going with that tie. Because he's only had this 2, where you said this would be his quote unquote 3rd, but it's the same head coach. Nonetheless, man, look, you get as many as it takes to get the best out of your players. We've seen that with many quarterbacks in this league. Stafford, it took him to get to where he got. With McVay, we've seen it with Alex Smith. Alex Smith was, my goodness, he had so many different offensive coordinators until he got to Andy Reid, and he got the best out of him where he was at. So you do what you got to do, and you got a good player to take him to the next level from a coaching standpoint. That was another thing I said on Twitter by the one guy. I will not say his name on here because he is just there's no really reasoning with this guy. But I was like, look, man, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. So I hate the expression that quarterbacks shouldn't need all this help. I think it's stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. The quarterback needs every single inch of help that he can get, not only in between the lines, but outside of the lines as well. It's going to be hard pressed for you to find quarterbacks in the last decade to 2 decades that didn't have either A, elite coaching, or B, elite talent, or both. Damn it. There's a lot of times that both were happening. Now, you need that quarterback to step up, but I just found the guy's reasoning to be ridiculous, that quarterbacks shouldn't need so much help to hoist the Lombardi. That is absolutely, I almost said a word you can't. I'm just sorry, that's dumb. I don't care if I got Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning all in one combined. If you do not surround them with top tier, you ain't winning a Super Bowl, man. It's not happening unless he gets that type of help in the offs. 06, Peyton Manning. 2012, Legion of Boom, Russell Wilson. Big Ben wins the Super Bowl in 05 with a great defense. Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees have won the Super Bowl in like 40 years combined. It's hard. And in those Super Bowls we just talked about it, the Saints had 8 freaking turnovers in 3 games. 8. And then the Aaron Rodgers-led team, by the way, Coach Mike McCarthy was a coach there. Best defense in the NFC that year as well. Right? You need help. Every quarterback needs help. This fallacy that they don't is dumb. And I'll be glad to call him out personally if he wanted to come on the show or I'll come on his. Now, I won't call him dumb, but that thought process is dumb. Then USMC dropped 10.
Super chat.
Said if something bad happened on our left side, O-line, I believe in Awesome Richards. I believe in Awesome Richards could get us by for a few games. He showed in preseason he's a good player. 5th round still. Yeah, I'm high on Awesome, at least on the left side. I think he should stay left tackle guy. I don't want to see him out there long term just quite yet. I would love to not have to throw him out there in the fire right now. If something happened middle of the season, fine. But I wanted to get a swing. It's not here. I'm not going to cry about it. Awesome is the guy. To me, I'm not trying to throw Chuma Doga out there. I'd rather go Awesome Richards. Mendoza said that was close. It was. Toot said Manning 1-1 with the great defense. I don't even count that. I mean, look, it's obviously counted, but I ain't even talking about the 20, what was it, 15 or something, 14? That Denver Broncos defense was one of them ones. Peyton Manning was God, though. He was terrible. He was terrible in the Super Bowl. He was terrible in the playoffs. He was terrible in the regular. Peyton Manning was done. Brock, what's the dude's name? Not Purdy, not Hoffman. There was another Brock, Osweiler. They was like, hey, Brock, it's your go. And Brock Osweiler was trash. And you know, they got carried to the Super Bowl. So I don't even talk about that one. But the one where Peyton was in his prime, considered the best quarterback in the league, played like trash in the postseason and won the Super Bowl. But we hold, it is what it is. It says Dak's not a QB to get us out of a dogfight against a good defense. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Get us out of a dogfight. You don't got to get them out. You got to get through. Right? You got to get through. And like I said, there are times where, yeah, maybe you don't get out that game. Maybe you're not. One week you have 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, but then the next week you play against the best defense with Noah Brown and Michael Gallup with one ACL, and then your best player goes down. That ain't your game. You ain't on top of your game. Hey, this team they got your number. You ain't playing well. It wouldn't be the first time in the playoffs that one of the best quarterbacks in the league didn't play well in the playoffs and won a game. Couldn't get you out of it. I've seen them get you out of others, but couldn't get out of that one against that team and during that time. So guess what? I don't think it's absurd to say, hey, man, he ain't having a good game here. I need you guys to rally. I need you guys to get it done for me. I got you. And I'm not just talking about the players, but the coaches, right? The coaches as well. So I don't agree with that. I've seen him do that. I've seen him he had 17 freaking game-winning drives and clutch moments. I've seen him make clutch play in the playoffs. I've seen it. Against that team, it didn't happen. Sometimes that's going to happen in the offs, and I need somebody else to step up, right? Hey, I had y'all week 1, right? I went out and had a historic game, one of the best postseason performances in the last decade. But now I'm going up against that defense with this unit, my best guy going down, and I'm struggling. Need you, coach. Need your unit. Nobody questioned Joe when he threw 0 touchdowns and an interception, and his defense carried them to the victory. Joe didn't carry them to that victory. Defense did. I'm not going to question Joe. What happens the next game? Joe goes out there, performs well, gets to the Super Bowl. Sometimes you're going to need it, man. And it's not just that. Tony did. It was the same thing. But there is a common thread here. And we, for whatever reason, put it all on the Qs. You guys will learn. One day you'll learn. Quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls by themselves. One day you will learn that. But we're so hyper-focused on our team, and I get it, right? I get it, but I just ask you to take a step back. View how the league has operated in the league, how the league has won, how these teams have won Super Bowls, and you tell me Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore, Jerry Jones are out there winning Super Bowls on other teams. Like the equivalent of those guys. The equivalent. Find me the Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore equals winning Super Bowls around the league. Don't worry, I'll wait. Dead serious. I'm dead serious here. Find me that group. You can't. You can't. And as I've been saying, dating way back to Tony Romo being here, for a long time, maybe not this year, but for a long time, it has been up to your players to overcome it. And Toxic loves to remind me, we'll never overcome it. Well, I think things are a bit different this year. I think your front office has moved a little differently and has stepped into the present, into the modern day of football. But they hadn't been doing that. I agree, Toxic. I'm with you. I don't believe you could overcome that, but I think they have not moved the same way they have. I'm with you. It's why they hadn't overcome it. But homework assignment. Find me the equivalent of the Jerry Jones general manager. Right? President, owner, whatever. Jason Garrett, head coach. Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator. I don't even talk about Rob Marinelli, Rob Ryan, and all that over there. But find me that combination. That's won you Super Bowls. Ty, you got an example for me? Of course they don't understand that, Willie T, because that would require next level thinking. Where, again, most fans in general, we just watch the game and, hey, did we win? Did we lose? That's all that matters. There's so much that goes into it. And that's what I think, shouts out to social media and YouTube, we're able to bring a little bit more detail to this thing. The networks don't got time to break it all down like that. So the question, Ty, is find me over the last, you could probably go back longer, but over the last 2 decades, we'll keep it just the last 20 years. Find me the combination, the equivalent. Owner, general manager, Jerry Jones, head coach Jason Garrett, and coordinators in Scott Linehan and Kellen Moore. Find me that, the equivalent that has won Super Bowls, right? Find me that equivalent. Steelers? Nope. Patriots? Hell no. Chiefs? Nope. Ravens? Nope. Tampa? Nope. Like, find me that. Rams? Nope. Find me that equivalent of those coordinators and general manager and ownership that has won Super Bowls being run like that. Like, you can't. Giants with Eli, bro. First of all, Tom Coughlin. Are we really about to do Tom Coughlin like that? Tom Coughlin took a franchise that was just born in the diapers to 2 back-to-back AFC Championship games, y'all. Ain't no way you about to sit here and tell me Jason Garrett is equivalent to Tom Coughlin. You're not about to do that to me here. Ain't no way, dog. And Gettleman wasn't the general manager for the Giants back then. So that would be a no. That would be a no. 49ers didn't win the Super Bowl, Demetri. Steelers? No. Oh, come on now, Ty. I question how old you are. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but how old are you to mention the Steelers? They've historically had one of the better run front offices for decades, right? They had the chin at head coach, Hall of Famer head coach. So we can't use Steelers. But if you're young, I can understand you might not, Bill Cowher, that might go over your head. Like Bill Cowher is one of the greatest coaches during the 90s and early 2000s, right? His record speaks for itself. John Harbaugh. So you said Ravens. Let me ask you a question again. Oh, okay. So Ty's, you're 30. All right. And the general manager just escaping my head right now. Hall of Famer. Y'all help me out. For the Ravens. I am a historian of the game, and I promise you I'm not forgetting. He's a Hall of Fame tight end, went on to be the Ravens general manager, one of the greatest of all time. Help me out here. And then Mike Tomlin, of course, Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin. But anyway, come on, y'all, help me out. He went on to be the Ozzie. Thank you, Ozzie. He is Ozzie Newsome, one of the greatest general managers. One of the greatest that no one really talks about. So I can't give you that one. But I good try. Good try. What we talking about, Professor O? Yeah, I'm still going. This is a fun conversation because I think it helps illustrate just how hard it is to do given how things were structured here, right? It kind of gives the context to how hard it is to overcome those type of things. And I don't think anyone would ever put John Harbaugh in the same sentence as Jason Garrett either. I'm just curious. Has there been if we want to go back further? We can go back further. Like, what is the equivalent of this setup that has won a Super Bowl, man? It's hard, dog. It's hard giving that way. But I will give the front office credit this year. They have not moved the same way, right? They have not moved the same way, which is why to me, this is the most confidence I've had in quite some time. They've moved differently. Toxic said the only team that came close, and this is a good one. And there's other teams that came close, but Al Davis and the Raiders in the early 2000s. Good one. Good one. They got to the Super Bowl and got the brakes blown off of them, but man, it's really hard to find a Super Bowl champion to have done that. So that's why I kind of wanted to have the conversation. Justin D said the conversation is getting depressed. No, Justin D, it wasn't to get you depressed. My bad, brother. What it was done to provide context. You should be excited. We have not been moving the same. We haven't been moving the same. Be excited, man. All right. That was kind of a whole extra segment that came out of left field, but appreciate you, Ty. I loved having a conversation. MD Andrews dropped one on the way out.
Super chat.
He said, finally got paid since becoming a teacher. Oh, man, y'all got the... Anytime I see a teacher up in here, shouts out to the teachers in the building. Drop some flames in the chat for these teachers because these kids is terrible. I talked to my oldest. He always got a story about what happened at school, and I don't know how y'all do it, man. But it said, first time I've ever been here live in a while, or first time I've been here live in a while. Love from H-Town Sky. I'll be playing these back. Thank you, MD. Thank you, and I swear thank you to, well, I mean this a lot, to the teachers out there because, you know, as a parent, one thing I'm learning, we absolutely have to hold our weight here at home in our children's development, right? Especially academically, you have to stay on top of them. But it's impossible to be able to give them that same academic attention as a teacher is able to do. So you rely on these teachers to do that, right? But you have to give them the home training to be able to accept that. And these kids, I don't know if it's home training, I don't know if it's social media, I do not know, man, but they're making it hard on these teachers to do it. So I don't. JR is a teacher. MD is a teacher. Oof. Mel said these kids bad. Man, listen, they must not be getting their ass whooped at home. Not saying that I haven't had to whoop my kids yet. I haven't had to. Because they've been instilled with discipline. And even if they do something bad in school, it's not to that point. It's not like I'm disrespecting the teacher type thing. I'm talking sideways out of my mouth or whatever. But I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. But these kids crazy. So far, so good. I'm lucky. So far, so good. We'll see what happens as we keep going, man. All right. Later tonight, I'll be on Pick 6 Sports with Professor O, Knicks, and the guys and gals with Authentic. We'll be talking Cowboys, Giants, more of this, and having a good time later tonight. What time is that? What time is that? Rolo said 100% Sky. Too many parents don't make school a priority. It's priority number one when it comes to being outside the crib. What time is that, Professor O? I know you ain't about to say 9 o'clock Eastern. 8:30 Central. I'm had to drink an energy drink, dog. I had to drink an energy drink.
Push the goddamn button.
Hey, push the button. On the way out, man, hit the like button, man. Capital punishment. I lied to you not. Like, and this ain't even, I lied to you not. I remember in K5, the principal of my elementary school, shout out to Woodward, it's no longer there, they tore it down. They still had a paddle. You can't do that now, and I ain't saying these teachers should, because I'm definitely rolling up on the school if you try to do that to mine. But there was still a paddle. All right, man, we out of here. Love y'all. Peace. Have a good weekend.
Squad!